I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium. There's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
What is going on, everybody? Wired here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday. I know I've been gone for a little bit. My computer overheated. I've been busy with parenting stuff, all of that, but I've been trying to get back into the groove of things. This is recently something that has captivated my interest, captivated a lot of the world's interest, is the Titanic wreck, or the Titan wreck, that went down to see the Titanic and did not resubmerge. We have a little bit of news on here. The U.S. Coast Guard says a debris field has been found near the Titanic as rescuers search for missing submersible possible implosion, which, in my very limited knowledge of this, I would imagine that it was probably an implosion that doomed these 5 gentlemen who went down to view the wreck of the Titanic. Now, I know the internet is pretty much split on this, or at least Twitter is pretty much split on this, with people saying, hey, you shouldn't go down and see that, or wanting to go down and see that, and making jokes about these people. I know they were billionaires, but I don't really think that's completely important. I think the fact that there's a loss of human life, especially the loss of human life that has come from another Titanic tragedy, is both, ironic and tragic. Obviously, there's been many jokes made about the controller, stuff like that. It doesn't seem like something I would do, but then again, I don't have $250,000 to blow. Regardless, I think this is an absolute tragedy. Stumbled across this article. Titanic tour CEO didn't hire 50-year-old white guys because they weren't inspirational. Well, I would say to that, anybody in the qualified field within they're in should probably be an inspirational person, as long as they're not completely toxic, if they have the credentials to do what they're supposed to do. And you should probably hire people based off of their qualifications. Now, did this have anything to do with the actual Titanic wreck? Or the Titan wreck, I should say? No, I don't think so at all. I think this is another example of hubris. And sadly, 5 men have lost their lives because of this. Another article over here. Time runs out. We're not giving up, U.S. Coast Guard says. Hunt for Titanic 5 is still a rescue mission, and they are looking for survivors despite oxygen supply running out. As robots trawl ocean floor and ocean gate, co-founder insists they have longer than we think. And I can only imagine the claustrophobia and the dismay that these 5 men would have suffered if it wasn't for, obviously, a catastrophic implosion, which would have killed them within, a minute. And this is an absolute tragedy. And I'm definitely torn between the exploration of something and just leave the Titanic alone. I've only been in the sea a couple times, but I would say you go below 20 feet, you're asking for trouble. I don't even know how people do those intricate cave dives. I really don't. No knock to them. It's just a very, very risky business. I know you want to explore and all that stuff, but it's you take your life in your own hands when you do stuff like that. The U.S. Coast Guard today insisted they still hope to find the 5 adventurers trapped inside a missing Titanic submersible alive, despite predicting oxygen had run out. As the co-founder of the firm that organized the trip insisted, rescuers have longer than we think. A little bit of a preface here. I know there was a very big boat tragedy in the Mediterranean. I'm not covering that at the moment. I don't want anyone to think I'm disenfranchised to that or anything like that. That's obviously a tragedy. I think everybody who is in distress should be helped. I don't think there should be any tragedies at all, personally, but You know, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. The world is now praying for a miracle after rescuers estimated the vital oxygen supply would end at 12:08 p.m. UK time. Banging has been heard at 30-minute intervals from the depths of the Atlantic, possibly from the men striking the side of the sub, but has yet to have been located. Rear Admiral John Mauger of the U.S. Coast Guard. The operation remains an active search, and he remains hopeful thanks to favorable weather conditions. Asked about the banging noises, he said initial analysis suggested that they were background ocean noise, but this was still being examined. And I'm going to just interject here. Based on the amount of submarines that are in the area, the amount of ships that are in the area, it's very, very unlikely that it was the Titanic survivors, or the Titan survivors, I should say, that were actually banging on it for help. I think, you know, unfortunately. Those stuck on board the sub include British billionaire Hamish Harding, OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, French Navy veteran P.H. Nargialat, and Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, I butchered names. Who was just 19 and a student at Strathclyde University. A deep water robot sub has reached the Atlantic floor, and another is descending the 12,500 feet of ocean fast. The Canadian vessel Horizon Arctic has deployed an ROV that has reached the sea floor and began its search for the missing sub. And a French ship viewed as the best and final hope of finding the missing Titanic submersible has also dropped its remote controlled sub to find 5 missing adventurers. I mean, in all honesty, from the way they said this sub was put together, there should have been more regulations put in place. These 5 men should have never went down there. You know, they signed a waiver that was pretty much signing their death. I know they've gone down and have several explorations before, but this literally is completely hubris. I mean, well, in like 1999, we've already seen this with the movie Titanic, James Cameron, Kate Winslet, Leonardo DiCaprio. We've already seen the capabilities of going down there and finding the Titanic, and we have a whole story about it. I'm torn between saying, hey, just go watch the movie, and that billionaires have way too much money and don't know what to do with it. Regardless, though, I think this is a terrible tragedy. I feel for all 5 of these people, even though at this point, unless they somehow got to the surface and somehow got to open air, they would not be alive. Which is very, very unfortunate. Especially for the kid, 19 years old. Whole life in front of him. But, you know, they say they found him. It's just a little too late. But, you know, I think the moral of the story is don't take unnecessary risks. It's not worth it, you know. I remember reading about a woman who went scuba diving or went snorkeling in Maui, 150 feet off the coast, and got consumed by a shark. That's something you really can't predict for, but this, going down 12,500 feet to see the wreck of the Titanic when you watch it on a movie, this definitely can be prevented. Just leave it alone. Or watch the movie. But having said that, I still do feel for these 5 men. And I hope, honestly, that they had an implosion so they didn't suffer a terrible, long, agonizing, painful demise. Anyway, that's all I got. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. How's all the algorithm? Thank you for listening this long, and I will catch you all in the next one. Later.